Why I don't give advice. When I begin working with a new therapy or counseling client, I invite an introductory meeting to listen to their issues and expectations of therapy and to explain how I work and how I do not work. After listening to the client's issues and expectations of the therapeutic process, I explain how I work with an emphasis on the equally, if not more, important ways I do not work. I begin by sharing with the client that I don't give advice. This is often met with a deer-in-the-headlights look from the client. I so often see the letdown in their eyes. I can see them asking themselves, but I'm coming to you for advice. If you don't give advice, what do you do? If you don't give advice, why should I even come to you? Here are 3 reasons I don't give advice. First, it's none of my business how anyone lives their lives. In that way, I should be coming to be with the client in a state of non-judgment. Second, I cannot know the client's experience. I cannot know what the client is going through. I cannot know what is best for the client. In fact, I should not even be able to relate to the client's issues. Yes, you heard that correctly. I should not even be able to relate to the client's issues. If I relate to the client's issues, then I believe in their story. And if I believe in their story, then I collude with their dis-ease. And if I collude with their dis-ease, then I lose the opportunity to heal. The whole purpose of psychotherapy is to question the reality of the client. The client's perception has them in a state of dis-ease. If I relate to their story, then I cannot be any healing catalyst to them, seeing their situation differently and beginning the healing process. Lastly, most importantly, people have to live their own lives, make their own decisions, and learn their own life lessons. I often explain to the client that a child does not learn by being told anything, but the child learns by doing and learning from their experience. I use the anecdote of the toddler who is entranced by a red-hot, glowing, burning stove and goes towards the glowing, red-hot burning stove to touch it. Now, the concerned parent, perhaps naturally, intervenes and prevents the child from getting burned. In their intervention, the parent will likely say to the toddler, "Don't touch, you will get burned." Now, the child understands the "don't touch" part because the parent is holding them back from touching. But the child doesn't understand why. That is, the child doesn't understand that "you will get burned" part of the intervention. All the child knows is they want to touch the red-hot, glowing embers, and mommy and or daddy doesn't want them to touch it. They have not learned yet why they should not touch the red-hot, glowing embers. And they will not learn why until they actually touch the embers someday. I had a client disagree with this approach once and blurted back at me, "So, metaphorically speaking, if someone was heading towards a pool of quicksand, wouldn't you warn them?" My response was, metaphorically speaking, I hope I wouldn't warn them. I would stand by, observe their choices, be ready to be there for them, and most importantly, wait until they asked for help. Then and only then would I intervene. The client wasn't enthused or comforted by my response. Let me try and explain this last point another way with an actual, true, real-life situation. A close friend living in Canada had recently divorced after 20 years of marriage. As the divorce was unfolding, they developed an online relationship with someone living in South America. Within 4 months of the divorce being finalized, my friend hopped on a plane and flew to spend a few weeks with this person they had met online. As can happen in these situations, my friend fell madly and deeply in love with this person living in South America. My friend was communicating with me throughout their visit with their newfound love, and while they were experiencing love in overdrive, their life was thrown into upheaval. They held down a job with great responsibility in Canada. They had many family and friends in the Canadian city they lived in. How could they make this long-distance relationship work? They wanted desperately to be with this newfound love in their life. The above story is true. And how many of you have heard of such a story? How many of you have had someone in your life experience the same thing? We all know the stories of rebound relationships and how they end up. We all know the stories of the challenges of long-distance relationships and how they often end up. But how can we be so sure the norm applies in all situations? My friend kept asking me, what do I do? What do I do? I knew that it wouldn't matter what I said. My friend was going to do what they wanted to do. I could share all the advice, anecdotes, personal experiences, etc. But toddlers and adults are alike and will, almost universally, not take or listen to advice. And when it comes to matters of the heart, the person embroiled in the euphoria of love is even less likely to listen to advice. People are going to do what they are going to do. As difficult as it was, at times, I had to stand by, observe my friends' choices, be ready to be there for them, and, most importantly, let them know I loved them no matter what decision they made. And the only way I was able to stand by and observe their choices was because despite all the statistics and stereotypical scenario writing, I could not be 100% certain that the choices they would make would lead to a certain outcome. The only thing I could be certain of, and the only thing I could share with my friend, is that this seeming dilemma my friend was facing, this seeming fork in the road, well, they couldn't make a wrong decision. Life had brought them to this point in their life precisely to make a decision, and that they were ready to make that decision. Life had equipped them with the tools to make a decision about this situation. It was their lesson for the day. Whatever decision they made, they could be sure that they would be faced with another fork in the road at some point down the road, and then they would be faced with making another decision. This is the way of life. This is the way of the journey. It's none of our business how people live their lives. We cannot know another person's experience. We must let people live their lives, make their choices, and learn from their life lessons. What can we do then when people ask for our advice? One thing, and one thing only: love them. Love them enough to let them live their own lives. Love them enough to allow them to make their own decisions. Love them enough to let them learn what it is they need to learn. Be with them in that place of love, and both of you will know what healing is.